say it's broadcasting. So now it says the Hangout is live, and you can do a mental countdown and go whenever you're ready.
Hello, welcome to the 102nd episode of the DDO Cocktail Hour, where we discuss our favorite game from the standpoint of someone who doesn't care about the numbers. It's Festivault season, and coins are raining from the sky, or at least I'm going to make them rain from the sky. And I was wondering...
You know what?
What?
My butt fan.
Dude,
and I turned my sound down, so
why
I
are you
couldn't
always
hear you.
ruining everything? Like, this is the show. I'm going to rename the show. No longer DDO Cocktail Hour for the last 102 episodes. It's going to be Samus Ruins Everything.
I literally did not know. I really...
Samus Ruins...
This is an honest mistake. I've mentioned this before. So, for those of you watching the youtube.com/SamusGrobo, this is the mute. Right?
So does that mean nobody can hear my intro?
No, it should record. This is my speakers to my headset.
You're awful.
But since it's on this little scroll wheel,
never told you.
It hangs from this rope right here, right up to my headset, on my tummy. So as I move around my head, it wiggles around that cord, right? And since it's on a freaking wheel,
it is on a wheel. There's a wheel.
It turns itself up and down. So sometimes it'll mute everything, and I won't, because
that's why you have that Punisher cap on. Because you're punishing me right now, Samus.
With that explanation? Oh, sorry. Nope, not Punisher.
I love them both. Oh, guy love is so real.
I'm sorry. Turn it. Now you read the introduction.
I hate you so much right now. Hello, welcome to the 102nd episode of the DDO Cocktail Hour, a podcast where we discuss the social aspects of Dungeons & Dragons Online, our favorite game, from the standpoint of someone who doesn't care about the numbers. With me is my co-host, Samus Garobo, who's a terrible, terrible human being. Say hello, Samus.
Say hello, Samus. 2 seconds ago, I was awesome.
2 seconds ago, I was singing your praises, and now I'm like, screw this guy. Merry Festivault. This Festivault season, coins are raining from the sky. And I was thinking of getting your advice, but now I don't know. Because I do want to collect coins, and I actually collected coins last week whenever we played, but
yes,
I was thinking about buying my way to happiness.
What are you talking? Oh, with the
people sell coins on the auction house, on the shard exchange. You can buy them in stacks of 100, and then you can go and turn them in. That's happiness, The more, the merrier.
Should have done that.
I want big stacks of coins so that I can get a bunch of cookies, fill them up in the jar.
You should have threw up a thing in the forums, in the trade.
Mm-hmm.
Trade thing, a post in the forums, and bought them over this summer.
Is that what people do?
I have no idea. But, if you're like me, and you find, you're like, oh, I forgot I played this guy, and he's got 6 gold coins or whatever. Now I don't have any way to turn him in. They might sit there, and if you happen to be one of the forum people, and you might, hey, I'll sell them now, get them on inventory. I have no idea. If things go up and down like they should, like they used to be Festivault coins 2 weeks after the Festivault Jester left. So the Festivault Jester, a while after the coin stopped dropping, right? And people who miss turning in their coins are typically I should have cashed these in or whatever. And you can usually buy those right then for a steal. How well they work with.
so it's kind of like a post Christmas lights, Christmas decoration sale. You wait until after the fact and then you buy a bunch of stuff. I can dig it.
Or like a magic rotation, you like buy everything right after it rotates, and then because there's always a price dip as people get out of something, it usually climbs back up later on, and then you.
All right.
Or the stock market, right? Like
Yeah.
buy stocks right before the presidential election because everyone's all
because the stock market went crazy.
every 4 years, right? Like right before an election, the stock market goes woo, and you buy stocks, and then after the election is done and they have a winner, back up again. It every 4 years. Why people are surprised about this every time, I don't understand.
It's baffling.
It is. So you want to spend money on coins?
Yeah, I want to buy coins. I want to buy my way to happiness.
Money can't buy
can't buy you happiness. I'd like to challenge that.
I think, to quote Tony something or other from Operation Petticoat, the people who always say money can't buy happiness are the people who have the money. So I figure they're hiding something from us. I'm pretty sure that it's a help.
Truth. So I'm
so
gonna do
which,
it. What's happening?
About buying coins is my question.
Which server? Did you say which server?
Which server? Yeah.
Sarlona, obviously.
Okay, so you have enough money on.
Yeah, I never spend any money. We all we do is play, and we play with what we find. So I never spend any money on Sarlona.
Got a little bit.
I'm loaded.
A little bit of money, I guess. I'd like to know what you're considering loaded on the Sarlona server.
To me, loaded is anything over 200K. So you probably don't consider that loaded, but
okay. So if you're listening to the show and you love Lessa, send her coins because she's not going to get very many with 200K.
I know, right? I'm gonna run out of money quick. It'll be all right.
So yeah, I don't know.
All right, let's move on, man. Let's talk about all the TVs.
One more time.
Oh,
I had a lag spike. I've been having terrible lag issues all day.
Yeah, I've been noticing that. That's awkward. But that's okay. We'll get through it.
Really rough. We will get through it. It'll be fine. What was your question?
Let's move on. We're going to talk about all the TVs all the time. You owe me a fight.
I do owe you a fight. And we're going to have a sweet transition.
Okay,
from the Festivault to the
sweetly transition. You do it.
Me? What? No. Isn't it great? Isn't the video elements like amazing? Like I can do all this visual humor that you normally can't see on a podcast, but like I just love it. I love having the YouTube stuff. If you're not watching on the YouTube, you're missing element of the show that we've never had before, and it's great. So yeah, we both watched the superhero shows on the CW. Yes. We both like them.
Yes. It's bringing me a lot of joy this season. I'm really loving all of them, but in particular, I think my top pick for this season is definitely Supergirl, followed by Legends of Tomorrow. Those shows have just blossomed this go round.
So here's some overall thoughts. CW and their shows and their programming in general. Okay. Season 1 of a CW show is always rough. It takes them a while to like get all of their place or all their gears working. It takes a while for the writers to find their correct groove. And even though this is a season of Supergirl, I'm considering it the first season of Supergirl because it's rough. I'm not going to lie. It feels very rough to me. We'll get into specific details in a minute. I feel that...
No, last season was rough. This season
was also
really
rough.
good in
Awesome
comparison.
I think this is what a lot of people are doing. They're comparing it to last season. But really, it's like season 1, part 2. You introduced some of the characters previously, but all the writing staff, a lot of the interactions, or character interactions, have really shifted hard. I think. I don't think they knew where they were going to be as they were writing the first season of Supergirl for, was it ABC? That feels right to me. So they were doing all this stuff. I don't think this was the plan. I don't think ABC, I do not believe this is how it was. CBS.
Yeah.
I don't think this is how they would think this is the season 2 that would be on CBS. And typically, season 2 of the various TV shows on the CW, usually they find their stride to be much better than season 1 of the Arrow. I feel personally, season 2 of the Flash was much smoother than season 1 of the Flash, and for the most part, is also picking up that stride. I personally, the stuff that's going on in season or Legends of Tomorrow is getting a little annoying. They backed off the last couple of episodes, and I'm kind of stepped down from their preachiness a little bit. But again, we'll get into some of these details in a second. But we're supposed to be fighting about
all
Supergirl.
over the map. Yeah, let's start.
I wanted to like
yeah, that was
broad
an overview
thing of the CW. I want to do a little bit of an overview on the CW. So we can both agree that we enjoy the Supergirl. We both watch it every week.
I love her.
It is fun.
Yes.
So if you look at like the Rotten Tomatoes score or the IMDb score for the show, between 6 and 6.5 out of 10, which I feel is pretty fair, a bit generous sometimes when it's towards the higher end of that. I definitely feel like the show, and it took me a long time to come up with this analogy, and I ran it past the barrel a couple of times. Really good English paper, right? It's fun. It's got good pacing. It's entertaining, but it's not implemented particularly well. You're missing a comma. You ended this sentence in a prepositional phrase. You hanging participle. I don't even know if that's a real thing. But, you have all these technical errors that take half a point off here, half a point off here, and then even though the comment on the paper is like, wow, I really love this paper, a C+. Does that make sense? We put some of this analogy in here so it makes sense. Did I mute you again?
No, you didn't.
Look like it.
You didn't. I'm just trying to process what you just said.
Something is good. There can be these little things that
drag it down. This is a good show with some ankle biters. With some
issues in it that for me, a lot of it's pacing. I think the pacing is bad. And I'm not talking about the character pacing. I'm talking about the writing pacing. For me, it really feels too fast. Like they start a really interesting arc or a story concept, jumps to the conclusion before you even got to the middle.
Give me at least one example of that.
Okay, the best example is the John Jones. He got lots of spoilers. So if you're not watching season 2 of Supergirl, stop. Apologize.
You might want to skip ahead about 10 minutes, maybe.
This is not the podcast. Not the podcast for you. Maybe there'll be a note. There'll be a note like, "Hey, this is
spoilers." Very, very spoilery. Okay.
John Jones and Supergirl beat out of him and drained by, I don't know, an energy draining for his name, because instead of taking this really cool villain concept It was just basically a throwaway episode. But they like had their life force drained out of them, and she was able to recover because of the super flashlights that they have in their new sky base. And John Jones needed a blood transfusion. This season, we found there was another Martian on Earth. And since we found out that she was a white Martian and not a blue or a green Martian. But nobody else knew this. Just us knew. So they went to her to get John Jones blood infusion, which seems fine. But then out of nowhere, like, sorry, you wouldn't want this. I'm so sorry. But they didn't tell us why. And then he starts to recover. And then immediately they tell us, oh, hey, if you get blood from a white Martian, you become a white Martian. Fine. He's super aggro, man. And it's like, okay, we could do this. The next episode, he turns into a white Martian. Mama Danvers saves him in a throwaway scene. Like, it was a completely throwaway scene. Like, oh, I came up with the cure for the kill all humans virus. Or kill all non-humans virus. Oh, and also I was able to fix John Jones. So there's one really good example. In my feeling.
You're not wrong about John Jones.
What do you think? Is this perfectly paced?
You're not wrong about that plot line.
Okay.
Gotta give you that.
The second one. And maybe this is, again, from my point of view, the I can't ever think of the older sister. I can only think of her as Baby
Alex.
Gray. Alex, thank you. The Alex coming out sequence. In the course of 3 episodes, she goes from, I don't know how to deal with my feelings, to, I've been looking over my life and girls, but I've always hid it. Hey, everybody, I'm totally out. Like, in 3 episodes. I'm like, I would, from people I know that have gone through this. It was a little more
challenging for her than that. She had to come out to her sister. She had to come out to her mother. She had to she had to come out to herself first.
Right.
But
I feel like this was really quick. I feel like they could have explored this a lot more without making it a major story arc. Keeping it small in the individual episodes. But they decided, instead of taking, 6 episodes or half a season, to basically explore this range of emotion fast. It was, to me anyway,
I do need to give credit to the actress, because I thought that she handled her brilliantly.
Absolutely great. She's one of my favorite actresses.
That anxiety, it was just so evident, and I thought it was a brilliant job.
I will never say that acting is poor. Right? The acting on the show is 10 out of 10. I think, given what they have as the script, I think it's perfect. So yes, I 100% agree.
So you think that storyline's a little rushed, and maybe they should have dragged it out? Maybe a little.
I think
maybe a little longer.
A little bit more time.
Give her a little more time to process. The one thing I didn't like about it was that she kind of hooks up. It was almost like, hey, let's put the cherry on top of this and let her experience what it's like to kind of be in a, let's see where this goes sort of relationship with someone else. That's the one thing I didn't like. I think she is on her own journey, and that she needs process time, and that she needs to be really comfortable with herself before she has something to offer someone else. And that is the one complaint. If I have one real complaint, and you know that I don't complain much about my CW shows, but if I have one complaint, it is that they do relationships poorly. All of their love storylines bother the crap out of me. That's it.
I agree. Specifically on this show, I think are really bad. And not sure a bunch of straight white men writing this show. I don't know if it's non. I don't even know what you would put that as together as a group. Not straight white men writing the show. I don't know. But I know that to me it feels like Iron Man right now is trying to have her be a teenage African American woman is wearing the suit and doing a lot of stuff. There was a lot of outrage when they first started coming out with this because it's a white male dude, right? Obviously. I mean, not obviously. But it was his idea, and he started working with it. In my mind, I feel like let him try to experience it. But I feel like the place where he's writing from often is a place of, well, this is how I think it should be. Now, if you contrast that with, like, Luke Cage, right? The culture shock is huge, especially for those of us who are a minority in my community. So, like, and my idea of my community has to deal with my card shop. I've always done in my card shop. We have 20 people back in the back playing Magic, and 18 of them are white. 3 of them are women, and 2 of them are black males. And it's like, their culture is more closely tied to our culture. But then when you have this culture shock, like in the Luke Cage, you're like, wow, this is really interesting to me. I feel like there's a lot of that same thing when it comes to the CW writing. Like they're not getting that middle ground to me. And I feel like that is a major hiccup there. I also have another problem. Well, I'll let you respond to that.
Okay.
I feel like I'm not giving you time to, because I have a lot of these things.
You just go on and on and on. I just want to reiterate that you like the show. You actually like the show. You just have a few. There are just a few hiccups. This is you're sitting at the 6.5 rating, and you want it to be a 10. These are the 4 points that you have problems with.
I'm closer to the 6 because these are things that irritate me. These are things that nag me, and we haven't even got to the biggest one yet.
I'm very good at ignoring things that irritate me on a television show if there is a balanced amount of joy on the other side. And that's the viewpoint that I am coming from is that Supergirl is probably my favorite show right now because it has so much joy attached to it. Because,
right,
her smile lights up the room, and she's just got those girl next door intimidation failure moments where she puts her hands on her hips and she's like, get ready to continue your streak. And she is just completely serious about that statement. And the person on the other receiving end has got to be like, oh my God, really?
Right.
It's like a halfling trying to be intimidating.
So I think we've moved right on to my major problem with this show. They use her powers so poorly, right? And I get it, like, hey, we just started using our powers for things, and as opposed to just like making my personal life convenient. In the first episode on,
she cooked the turkey.
Well, she would cook the turkey.
That was great.
She would listen for the boss character to be on the elevator, so she knew
when to show up with the coffee, and she would use her laser heat vision to heat up the coffee.
Right. Things to make her life easier, but not necessarily using for good. So I can understand like moving skills around, right? I get that. But at the same time, it's like had a season and a half of showing up and getting her butt beat in the first 2 seconds, like consistently. And like the villains are just always on the top of their game. Like like one episode, she stood there, and the guy pointed a gun at her. She started to heat vision the gun. He shot the gun to counteract her heat vision. Guys are just, every one of these villains are just absolutely masterful at kicking Supergirl's.
Well, if they don't kick her butt, then
every week,
what do we have to look forward to? You know, they want to show that she's invulnerably vulnerable.
But here's the thing. So now, and my comment was, the best use of Supergirl has been on the episode of The Flash, the crossover event of The Flash. If you haven't seen,
True. The first
3-night episode
was probably amazing, and the 3-night episode also amazing. Great. Oh, I was so happy. It was like the best 4 days ever. So don't you roll your eyes.
Exactly.
I'm watching
That's
you.
Just it. It was a 3-day crossover for 4 days. Anyway, so in the Flash episode, took over Supergirl's mind. Right? In that window, when she was under somebody else's control, she basically used her powers, I don't even want to say to the fullest extent, but to a really good range, right? Like, she was on point. She was doing everything. This is what I want from that Supergirl. I want, when she's in combat mode, I want, let's do something. So we talked about this before, I think, on one of the podcasts. Like,
so what we really need to do is take Supergirl and rub it together with a show like Into the Badlands and have it make a baby.
Maybe. I don't know what Into the Badlands is, but
well, you need to watch an episode of Into the Badlands and see how they fight.
But it doesn't even have to be
because
combat.
Watching my favorite characters just stand there and take a hit gets a little
irritating,
stale.
Right?
Yeah, it's very irritating. Knowing that they could just move. Flash takes hits all the time.
For no reason.
He doesn't have to. Flash lets people shoot guns all the time. He doesn't need to. He can just take it away. Like, he could have taken down Captain Cold instantly, but he didn't.
Let's contrast this just real quickly. And again, more spoilers from, was it last night's episode? It is the 9th.
Last night was Arrow.
Last was Legends of Tomorrow. I thought that was...
No. I'm sorry. I was thinking yesterday was Wednesday. Last night was Legends, and I haven't watched it yet.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to give you a spoiler or two.
All right.
So, the team finally gets to interact with...
Reverse Flash?
Reverse Flash.
Yeah, that's what I've been waiting on.
And Reverse Flash. But the Reverse Flash doesn't hold back like Barry does or Supergirl does. And it's really great. Expect the character Flash in particular to interact with the villains, right? It's like pew 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 pew. Sometimes, not always, but enough to let me know, like, okay, they're really kind of using their powers or whatever. And again, I talked about this before, where you only have so many hours in the day, right? And you're trying to save potentially as many people as possible, have your personal life, right? Like, you're trying to do these things. So you have to start becoming efficient at things at some point, right? You got to kind of get the hang of it, I guess. And I don't feel like that is happening. Like, I believe that there is a better, whoever's doing the writing and the fight sequencing, specifically for Supergirl and a little bit for Flash, I think Arrow nails it, right? Arrow, I think their fighting sequences is almost perfect, but you're not talking about super, right? You're talking about a human who's really good with a bow and arrow. I think that the mindset, I'm going to just put up the Supergirl image, lock it on your screen for a second. I just don't think that they have that completely dialed in yet, how to use powers, especially a character like Supergirl in particular, who's got everything, right? occasion, they're using the powers to what I would consider their full potential, or near their full potential, but they're in throwaway moments. So again, a little bit of a spoiler, like a major spoiler, that these space aliens in this crossover event, and they have to put a little bitty disc on every single one of the aliens in time, because if they know it's happening, then they'll magically come up with some sort of defense about it or something. I don't know. So Flash and Supergirl planet and put these little things on every alien on the planet in a matter of about, which is awesome. It's absolutely gorgeous. It was a throwaway minute. Like, why they were doing this, we had a completely unnecessary fight with the Arrow team. And it was all about the Arrow team and had nothing to do with them other than girl, pew! You know what I mean? I just down in these kind of places over and over and over again, where instead of focusing on how awesome of a moment, that let it sit. They just, here you go. And these are things that are like cumulatively irritating me. Like, oh, well, here's another moment where they did the same fucking thing again. Sorry, pardon my French. They keep it bottled up inside. But then I've noticed Tanya has started catching on to these things. And I've started seeing Remington catch on to these things. And these are people who are a lot more like you, because there's the payoff at the end. They'll suspend whatever.
Yeah.
But even they are starting to get drugged down by this. And unfortunately, these are the things, like once they start going down, a series starts to get killed. Like once the average people, and again, and Remington and you, I don't mean average in an insulting way. I just mean they're not as critical of the show. And when people like that start picking up on these drops, is where people stop tuning in. When people stop tuning in, then we don't get the show that we want.
And then it goes away.
I don't want that to happen at all.
And then we cry. And nobody wants to see us cry.
Then you just watch it on Netflix, like in a bender, like, oh, remember how
remember how great this show was until...
And then you rewatch it, and then you're like, oh, yeah, I remember why I stopped watching it now.
Well, I'm not in danger of stopping to watch. I think that they just really need to focus on their strengths. They need to focus on the street fight, that street style fighting that they do on Arrow. I think they need to focus on the guy love relationships, the family relationships, the friendships. Those are the best bits of the show to me, where those interpersonal connections. It's like Wynn and Jimmy Olsen. I had no idea that I was going to love that relationship so much. But every time they're on screen together, every time they're doing something together, I'm just like, oh my God, the show is making my life right now. I love it. I love their dynamic.
That's, again, though, that subplot seems rushed. I love it too.
I understand they wanted to get him into the Guardian suit as soon as possible. I get it.
Exactly.
And he resisted a little bit. Wynn played hard to get. He was like, no, the suits take time. You're not ready. But then he was like, okay, get out there.
Yeah. It took about half an episode. It took half an episode for him to decide, okay, I'll help you be the guard, or I'll help you.
Come on, he's in that Guardian suit
about
riding that motorcycle. He looked hot. What?
And it took about half an episode for him to make the suit and let him get out. Like I said, it just feels rushed. I don't know. I wish they would slow down, figure out a little bit more pacing.
Yeah. It would be nice to take things.
Recognize.
I mean, they made fans wait 3 seasons for Iris and Barry to get together. So I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with dragging things out.
Exactly. I think the build-up can be just as useful. Include things. They do a good job of building them up, but then they writers potentially, or maybe it's the directors, I'm not sure. I feel like sometimes they get so excited to get to the payoff that they're too fast. The problem. Maybe they need to just slow down.
Or maybe there's a lot of pressure for them to reach some sort of resolution by the end of every single episode. Otherwise, they feel like they're going to lose new viewers, or people
Well, and that was the other
confused.
And that's the last point I want to make, is that side. If you're going to be an arc series show,
Uh-oh. You're frozen. Oh, there we go.
And you have to have your overarching arc. And some stories are arc stories and some stories are show stories. And you need to be able to clearly figure it out. Initial lineup. And again, that's something I think that comes in season 2 of writing a show. So they just have to live through this season.
Will be next season for you.
Yeah. I'm hoping.
So we can call the CBS season 0.
Or 0 or season 1, and then this is season like 1B or part 2. I mean, they almost no connections. Painful from season 1 to season 2. We lost. There's just so many disconnects between the 2 seasons, other than the fact that some of the same characters are there.
Ruh-roh.
There's no, and just been done with it, because like in 5 minutes, they spent all season 1 building up this momentous relationship between Jimmy Olsen and Supergirl.
Blah.
And then
I'm sorry, what?
In 2 minutes, 2 minutes of the next episode of the first episode,
because they understood that it wasn't working.
Gone.
That's what
2
happened.
seconds. Nobody seems to care.
Because it wasn't working.
Obviously, I get it. We didn't like it as viewers. Right? Development matters to me. And one of them should still have some feelings. Like, she kind of ended things. Like, okay, well...
She ended things and he was totally cool with it. And he was like, yeah, whatever. You know, I broke up with my longtime girlfriend for you. But it's all good.
Right.
We'll never see her again.
Right. Like, the whole first season was about the robot guy. I can't even think of his name now. Remington mentioned him the other day. He's like, hey, you know what we've never seen this season? So-and-so. Looked at each other and we're like, who in the hell is that? Max something?
Oh, yeah. Maxwell Lord.
Yeah.
He's just gone.
Just gone.
He just vanished. He was replaced by Lena.
Right. Well, and Luthor Corp.
Yeah.
Corp, or L Corp now. And again, I can kind of understand that. They want to have the girl power show. They lost the father figure, and I'm pretty sexist here to say the father figure, but the father figure that was the character for Supergirl. The mentor. That. So like I get it. They did some stuff, but it's a different show. It's definitely season again.
All right.
So I'm hoping season 2.
I'll give you that this is season 1, and the season 1 that was on CBS we'll call that season 0. Because there was some good stuff that came out of that.
There was a lot of, and they kept a lot of the good things that worked. And I think they can continue. I'm going to continue to lock your screen down here for a second. Things like, I think the Wynn character.
I love him so much.
Being where he is.
Yes. And you know who else I enjoyed? Actually, I have a 5 for you. 5 rapid fire things that I truly love about Supergirl. And he's one of them. His dynamic with Jimmy Olsen, Bam. I really love the what did you call it? The 3 episode or the 3 hour the 3 hour episode or the 3 night crossover. I really love John Jones and anything having to deal with him. I really love the Alex Danvers character, and I love the dynamic that she has with her sister. And I love Mon-El from Planet Frat Boy. I love that he's just
I
completely fracking ridiculous and just doesn't understand a lot of social nuances. He brings her a bag of pillow stuffing because he thought he was supposed to bring something, and he heard that people eat stuffing at Thanksgiving. So I was like, all right, this is cool. And he just doesn't understand that, maybe you shouldn't go around sleeping with every girl on the planet.
probably invulnerable, so
He's
it's
super
probably
innocent.
fine.
Yeah.
I, I agree. I think all these things are five completely unrelated to you things that I enjoy about the show, highlights of the show, because it is very good. It's very, very good. And I don't want, again, I could rant on this show and tear it apart. I dedicate an entire show to it, tearing this thing apart. And again, it's because when you like something, irritate you,
Yeah.
or exponentially more irritating. So nobody can get that like the show, or I think it's bad. There are things that I would like to take it to the next level. I could do the same thing with the Avengers movies. I could do the same thing with the Iron Man movies. You know what I mean? Like, these are things that I truly love, and how I visualize them, or the things that I see as flaws, I will continue to talk about. Because who knows when something will trickle back and they'll like, hey, maybe they're right. No, whatever. Just real fast, how do you feel about the various flashpoint effects? One in particular, baby.
Oh,
Becoming,
yeah.
becoming baby
That is a
John.
great subject because that would really jack with my head. If I
Like
was, if
if
somebody
you
just
found
told
out
me your daughter isn't a daughter, it's a son, or vice
that
versa, I would just freak out because to put things right, because put the reset button on that, you're basically erasing a human being that you're already attached to.
which is basically what's going on in Legends of Tomorrow, right? They're exploring this space in two places. One, in the place where they have the power to fix it, choosing or not choosing or whatever to fix it, and they're dealing with that moral dilemma.
Mm-hmm.
Very exciting. And then on the other hand, on Arrow, now that they've revealed this, they're going through the motion of what was my life like? Was, how did this affect me? That I found out that I had a daughter. I don't understand, like, what on earth do you do here? I think it's a really interesting and challenging dilemma. It's just, and I don't care. I don't have a horse in the race, but it irritates Tanya so much. Baby John. Like, what did baby Sarah not test well? Like, why was this a thing that they decided to change?
I have a theory about that. And if you remember when Legends went to it's kind of an alternate timeline future and they met up with an old grizzled Oliver.
Mm-hmm.
And the person who was doing most of the legwork was Diggle's son. Like, oh, I'm Diggle's son. I can't remember his name. I'm sorry. And I'm sure he's important. But at that point, they were pretty confused because they were like, wait a minute, Diggle has a daughter.
Right.
I think maybe somebody somewhere just kind of latched onto that and said, hey, let's do that. Let's explore that. That way we can tap that character in the future to, go and do cool things.
Yeah, I know I felt like it was it felt like another one of those season 1 rush things that kind of fell through the cracks. Like, why couldn't it have been Sarah?
He seemed to have dealt with
You know what
that.
I mean?
Yeah, Sarah Lance, you mean?
You know?
Or do you
No,
mean
baby
Laurel?
Sarah.
Oh, baby Sarah. Right. Um,
Baby Sarah.
just
Instead
that's
of
just
Duder Boy.
you.
But yeah,
At some
I
point, you
get
got to
it.
deal with some sadness in a plot line.
Maybe there is a top level architect who has a grander plan than I don't see everything.
But
It
you
seems
also
really
have to remember he's never met
I
this
do.
daughter. The current Diggle has never met this daughter.
Never
He only knows how much he loves his son. He doesn't know his daughter.
went back in time and I screwed up the timeline, and you actually existed. You had 2 sons. You want me to go back in time and fix it so you never, but you had the son that you're supposed to have?
I would say absolutely not, because who knows what he would end up with. You know?
I'm just saying that, like, these
That's
flashpoint ripple effect, a lot of these people, I don't understand the hangups. Especially his in particular does irritate me, not in the same way it irritates my wife. But it irritates me in like that Remington actually in a parallel or in a the same flashpoint type effect was actually a girl. My entire experience has been with my son. For me, that's real. That's and why I can't be angry at that. Like, oh, I had in another timeline where things went differently. I had a daughter instead of a son. I don't care. This is my child. You know what I mean? I don't understand how that. We look at the Cisco thing, where in a parallel timeline, my brother's alive and now he's dead. A little bit more sense, but because you're taking away right? Like, this is somebody I knew. It would be like, oh, your son's supposed to be dead now. He's supposed to have died in that car accident that he got hit a couple of years ago. For those of you who don't know, my son was hit by a car like a block away from my house at 40-some miles an hour. Could have been killed, right? If someone would have come to me and say, hey, thing with the timeline, your son's supposed to be dead at that car accident, I'd be like, no. Out. We'll keep this timeline the way it is. Like, I get that. So his makes a little bit more sense to me, but this Diggle things doesn't make any sense. And there's some other ones that are kind of minor, but I'm not as worried about. Just, my wife gets so angry though every time they talk about Baby John. Every time. And I don't get it. I don't understand it. I thought maybe you could shed some light on there.
Well, I'm not that angry about Baby John, but I can understand why Diggle is choosing not to focus on it, because I think that would really jack with your head. How could you look at your current child who has your whole heart and think, yeah, I'll trade him for somebody else? That's not going to happen.
I have no idea. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that would really jack with your head, because now he's thinking, well, I had this other child. This whole other person no longer exists.
See, now, if they were
What
to
am I
do
supposed to do with
something
that?
like, say they do a storyline, and I'm just making stuff up here, but if they do a storyline where Iris comes through town, right? And sick. And Baby John dies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, is he suddenly going to be like, well, let's undo that pain of Baby John dying and let's get baby Sarah back. You know what I mean? Like, are they
Oh
gonna?
God, no, no, no! That would be terrible.
You know what I mean? Though, like,
Let him be
could
what
they
he
be
is.
working on something
I
along those lines?
think his name was Connor Hawk. Whenever they did that future Star City timeline, I
I would have to look, and there's no reason
think his name was
we can't
Connor
have a
Hawk.
kid.
Yeah,
Um, or maybe they'll just flip it, and baby Sarah will be born second child, and then the next time they go back to that same grizzled future, instead of you think his name was Connor,
mm-hmm.
instead of Connor being, it'll be
It'll be
baby
her.
Sarah.
I think that'd
And
be cool.
that would be cool, and that to me would be worth the payoff. Like, oh, well, that makes sense to me. You know, like
Yeah,
they've been setting up this game forever, and now they have the payoff.
I think
Payoff
that's going
is
to be
for this
one of
particular show.
those sores. I think that's going to be an open sore until they give Diggle's family some kind of resolution, because that's really messed up. That's a messed up
Right.
situation, because I don't think he would be willing to give up his son.
Oh, I know I
And
couldn't.
no, there's just no way.
And if they do make him willing to give this up,
You better start working on another
I'd like
baby.
to see something relatable to me. So that took a
Put
little
another
longer
one in
than
the
I
oven.
wanted.
Yeah, it did.
So let's just hit a couple of highlights here in the movie, and then let's get into some
Okay, yeah,
DDO
I'm
stuff. This
gonna.
are theoretically a DDO related podcast.
I know for so many years now.
Things
We're
have
talking about
come out in
Spider-Man.
this last
Yeah.
week. Spider-Man trailer looks great. I just rewatched Civil War. He was great in that. I'm looking forward to seeing this. I think it's going to has the potential to hit everything right on the head. Do you have any particular thoughts, comments, questions on the Spider-Man trailer?
I didn't get to watch it yet.
Watch it yet?
I know, right?
I
I know. I
linked
just
it.
saw it in passing on my Facebook feed. I was like, oh, yeah, cool. I'll watch that later. But I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, it looks great.
I'm definitely going to go see it. How could you not?
Well, I go see all the superhero stuff. It doesn't matter if I think it's good, I think it's bad. I support all superhero shows, movies, and blah blah blah. And we've talked about this many times in the past, and I'll just quickly hammer this. If you like the genre and you'd like to continue to see them make genre, even if it's not or not your show, you need to take the time and energy and effort to try to support those products, because maybe the next one they make will be your show.
Yep.
So
I did watch the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 trailer.
Oh man,
and
so
I thought
good.
it was great.
I
thought it was great. Baby Groot.
Baby Groot was great. Stole the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little bit of controversy around the Guardians of the 2 trailer that I would also like to get your thoughts on. Do you feel like it was overly sexist against women?
Huh? How?
Okay, I'm going to take that as a no. Of groups, specifically third wave feminists, who are arguing that the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 trailer is specifically sexist against women, because the only scenes that Gamora was in the show or in the trailer, she had no lines, had no important factors, was not there for funny, not there for anything. The only scene that she was in that had any kind of dialogue around her, she was actually a prop to talk about how a male character has feelings for her. It was part of the joke on him. I disagree 100%.
So
I feel
angry because she didn't get any lines in the trailer? That's
she didn't
dumb.
get any lines in the trailer, and she was only there as a love interest for the male character, which I don't feel is true. And I'm a huge Gamora fan. I'm gonna pull this up while we're talking here. Do you recognize these 3 Lego miniatures?
Iron Man on the right. That's the girl from the Lego movie in the middle, and on the left is
It's
Iron
a
Man's
War Machine.
sidekick. Yeah.
That's not right.
What?
Guardians of the Galaxy in the middle.
Oh, really? Oh, that's
Yeah,
more. Okay.
yeah.
It's blurry.
Literally the character we're talking about right now. She is such a good character, and such a good character from this movie also, as well as the comic books, that she's right up there on my list there with Iron Man and War Machine. Like my two favorite characters ever, and she's right there with them. So if anyone was going to be irritated at how they're treating her, I would like to think I would feel like I was one of those people. And and she's like, no, that's dumb. They're doing a good job with her. Through to the comics. If you feel that they are mistreating her, I'd love to know why. And your point of view, because I don't see it. As a comic book fan, I don't see it. As just a fan of the movies, I don't see it. How much do you like Power Rangers? I'm going to assume because you're 1,000.
Mm-mm.
So I also miss Power Rangers growing up, right? Like I missed it. A bunch of my friends who are a little bit younger than me were right in the middle of it, so they're really excited for it. But I saw the trailer, and and is that her name? Meg M. Banks? Do you know what I'm talking about? Something Banks, I'm almost positive. She's Rita Repulsa. She looks great. And then they released a poster yesterday of the Zoids, some of the Zoids, and it looks really, really good. So I'm actually excited like I am for Spider-Man or Guardians of the Galaxy because I don't know the source material as much. But as somebody who just passively is marketing material, I'm pretty excited for it, to be honest. Like, it looks good. From what we have seen so far, I'm very impressed with it. So if you're not a Guardians of the or Power Rangers fan, check out the trailer, check out the stuff. Leave comments on the website. Let us know what you think. Can I get you to go see the fan trailer and the Power Rangers trailer by the next time we talk next week so we can talk about it on the live stream?
Yes, absolutely.
That's your homework.
I have homework.
Go watch trailer.
Great.
Go watch trailer.
All right. Fair enough.
Speaking of the live stream, we tried playing some Civilization.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we'll probably have to switch Civilization to a
we're gonna record
online
and then just put it up.
Try to put it out.
Lag. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
multiplayer
really
game.
It's really choppy. Yeah.
And I'd like to finish the game that we have going because that's a pretty fun game. I'm having it out with Teddy Roosevelt in China. Man, they don't like me.
Such a blast.
Yeah.
I will probably put those videos, however many they are. I think because it froze up a couple of times, so we'll just have to deal with it and put those up there. But we'll get those uploaded this week, and then we will. I think what we'll try to do is we'll try to do like half an hour or maybe even 45-minute segments, and both of us record it, upload them both to our YouTube channels, either person's point of view. Hopefully, knock on some wood, we can make that all work out because playing it, and I would like to continue playing Civ. And I think multiplayer Civ is more fun than single player Civ.
Yeah.
You can't stream. So I think this is going to just have to be our middle ground to get more Civ out there, more content out there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
DDO is streaming okay.
Yeah,
I think
DDO's working great.
Because we're not our computers aren't having to sync stuff up, so I think it takes less bandwidth going through the server, having the server do the. There are some issues that we're kind of dealing with that I'm exploring different options for, like sending out the high quality video feed. I've watched some other streams at lower resolution; they just look terrible to me. So we are having some issues, but we're trying to kind of hammer through there. The commentary is great. I think we're level 14-ish.
Yep.
on
About
our peoples. I'm playing that artificer, and you're playing
Ranger this time. Yep.
your ranger. You have a note in here that says you can roll up an iconic and join us.
Yeah. Iconics level 15, eh? Right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
we're right on the cusp of that being a thing. Pretty soon.
And you could always not take that last
Really?
level if you'd like to join us for a little
Yeah,
bit.
our elite little. Oh, maybe this will come up here in a minute whenever we discuss the bravery bonus thing, because I think we have a kind of a significant bravery bonus going.
We do actually, but it's okay.
Yeah, and that's
Do you have
Fridays
any?
on 9 a.m. Central on Sarlona.
That's true. For however much longer that can last.
Every Friday mornings. It should be
we
okay
are
for
we are
the
coming
first
up
semester.
to. Well, I was just gonna say we're starting to come up to the winter breakish type time.
Oh, yeah.
Christmas is on a Sunday, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows how that's going to affect things. But you can always the Twitter feeds and such to find out if we make any adjustments. But yeah, no. I am playing as a Sork Artificer leveling up, and I went ahead and made the repeating crossbow for him that I was wanting to make for Dar Samus's life, and I'm loving it. I'm going to go ahead and make one for Dar Samus, and I'm really looking forward to continue playing this character. I think there's a lot of interesting power in an Artificer, and the way that a lot of your power is coming from your class and your class abilities. Like, I'm so jealous of arrows and your ability to, kind of like burst around speed-wise. I think comes more from the boosting everybody else in the party and then doing crowd control type effects with the lightning spells.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had time really gear, and I think a lot of the power for this kind of character comes from the gear. Cannith crafting stuff or hunting down some items from the Cannith challenges stuff, maybe. I don't know. We might have to take arms. So we may have to take some time off and do some kind of work like that here very shortly.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we're going to have some exciting bits and pieces for building your Artificer. And I have the feeling that you're going to start hitting a point where you're going to need some better bows.
Yes, I'm already there. I'm already at that point, but that's okay.
Like
At the moment, I'm just happy using the challenge bows and leveling those up as I go.
See, like the silver longbow.
I have that. We went and got that for me.
Yeah, went and farmed it up for you. But that thing is a beast until, and then, because I believe it has a slot, right? Like it's already good aligned and it has a slot.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's got an extended critical, but
it does.
Ton of stuff that goes in there, and then the artificing boost at like the extra damage or whatever. I feel like even that bow right there can just carry you all the way to 20, with a little bit of help from, whatever. Where I can't do that. Like everything comes from that crossbow. I'm not sure. And the rune arms and making sure I have a spell lore and a spell power item and stuff like that. That's stuff that we just haven't taken time to do because last life. But I felt like we were both doing a melee-ish type thing. Like I was doing that paladin, a wizard, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like wizard.
Yeah, I was a wizard. You were a paladin.
So I felt like we definitely had that. I feel like this character does need now.
Yeah.
So we'll have to stop, think about it, think about how they'll react, and so that'll make a couple of interesting, couple of streams, I think, here in the next sessions.
Do a little tweaking.
Because we're starting to get to the point where the quests are getting harder. And because we had just moved into like the Grim and Barrett series. Like we did Tavern Brawl, I think, last week.
Mm-hmm.
And that was super tough. And because we are maintaining a bravery bonus, it is way over the top difficult.
Yeah.
And this is where our real discussion is going to start happening, is whether or not we were going to continue to maintain the elite bravery bonus, or if we're going to have to step down to a hard bravery bonus.
For me, that breakover point is somewhere around level 14 or 16, where it's like, do I really want to work this hard, or do I just want to get it done? You know?
And see, for me, there are certain quests that are tough, and it gets really, and it more and more this life. It really depends on your build at where things get tough and where they're fine. And I feel like when you have a team, it's easier. Where when you're trying to do everything by yourself, it's a much more exaggerated penalty. So like I feel like the quest we're doing right now is right at that cusp of like, man, this is almost too much work for the effort.
Yeah.
But then it's you and I.
Yeah. Well, as long as, hey, you know what? If we're
I
over
feel like
level,
we can do it.
we're over level. It's fine.
That's true. It's true.
I'm not butthurt about it.
We bring it up because it was mentioned on Jerry's stream yesterday that he feels like it's a trap. He feels like bravery bonus on elite is a trap. It's not worth the time. It's not worth the energy. You can do more in less time if you ignore it. And kind of become a...
Not stress, have more fun. I see this point of view.
I do. I see. But it's not maybe fun. He's talking about like the XP per minute aspect, which I understand. I agree. But I don't know. It's become, in his mind, it's more of an elitist thing. Like what number, how big is your streak? And I've had a 999 streak.
9 or 10 inches. So, I mean, what?
My streak was 999, and then I screwed up, and then it reset back to 0. So now I'm rebuilding up my streak, and it does bother me.
You didn't laugh at my joke. I hate you now.
My e-penis is smaller.
Oh, okay, good. Out in the open, you know, you got to come out.
So yeah,
You didn't have to. You didn't have to put your fingers together and show me how small.
The video aspect.
I'm giving you more credit than that.
No, I'm saying my streak now. It's like,
oh, your streak is small.
It's like 33 or 35 or something.
Yeah.
Very little. But yeah, I don't know. I like the idea of the bravery bonus. I like doing each quest once.
I think that is something that's just another prestige aspect that you can go for or not. Or you don't have to worry about it. If you don't want to worry about it, you can just play.
At the end of the day, I think that was Jerry's point. It was like,
this is the game that you want it to be.
You're welcome to play it differently. It's just like the other day, someone asked me if I was going to start playing more permadeath, and I'm like, no, that's...
Why would you do that? You don't like permadeath.
Right. And it's like, but I would never want to take away somebody's ability to play permadeath.
Yeah, I mean, I would never take away your ability to envision run and do the quest your way. You would never take away my ability to want to go into the quest and clean it out with a broom and squeegee the walls and break everything and kill every single mob and do every single optional.
Right. Lies in where we try to...
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what makes our Cocktail Hour live stream so much fun is trying to find that middle ground, because like half the time it's like, oh, so would you like to show me how this quest works, Lessa? And you're like, sure, let's do it. And I'm like, click, click, and we're like, pew. And then half the time it's like, oh shit, you stepped in the wrong spot. Deal with this. And you're like, if we just would have dealt with this the whole time, this wouldn't be a problem.
That's exactly how it goes. It's like word for word. If we would have started out doing this the right way, we wouldn't be here right now.
Talking about Twitch, though, we've been getting a lot of interesting comments. I have at least when I note or when I'm watching the chat when I'm streaming. We get a lot of comments now from either returning players who haven't played in a really long time, or maybe they've taken a break, or brand new players trying to get into the game. And kind of came up today was these are things that we talk about on the stream when they come up, as well as something that I hear from time to time. You'll probably be familiar with the phrase "change online." That I think was even more logo or more Turbine's logo or motto than powered by the fans. I feel like its gameplay will change online. The game is almost 11 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
To keep life in an MMO like that, you have to be constantly changing it, breathing power into it. Some of the other comments I picked up the other day from Jerry's stream were not turn on my phone. The power creep is starting to get too much. Now all you're doing is grinding out in-game gear over and over again. All these same arguments that we had 4 years ago, 2 years ago, 8 years ago, they just keep repeating
Well,
themselves.
it depends on the point of view of the person you're asking, doesn't it? Because what I'm getting, and what you've seen as well, are returning players who are actually kind of curious, wanting to come back to the game, and getting a little intimidated because so much has changed. It's a brand new game.
Correct.
They've forgotten a lot of things. It's like learning to do it all over again. And that, to me, is actually a positive thing.
So my question would be, what's an old game that you may have played, say, 5 years ago?
Like
Mass Effect or something?
Yeah, Mass Effect. One moment, please.
There's games out there. I'm going to fill some dead air here. There's games out there that we have played and experience now, things would be completely different. So I go back and I replay Shining Force Shining Force 2. And I take my new experiences and my new ideas of how to deal with these kind of things and I apply it new. And stand-in-time games where you start over again. So my curiosity is whether or not Lessa can think of a game that she goes back to after not playing for a long time. And I know that she's into, like, I think the
Minecraft.
Mass Effect game, Minecraft.
Yes.
Dragon
Dragon
Minecraft
Age.
probably less. Dragon Age maybe. Something where you've not played it long enough that you've kind of forgotten the basics.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Back into that game. But you've
StarCraft.
StarCraft might be a really good one.
Yeah.
Like, here's my... I'm trying to think how to put it. Like, here's your old save file, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you have, like, half this... Like, I'm thinking Baldur's Gate, for example, like the original Baldur's Gate. I played through it. I had, like, the God file or whatever, and then I'd go back, try to replay it, and I don't remember how anything works. And I essentially end up having to beginning. Do you have any advice that you could potentially dig out that when you're going back to re-experience a game, other than try not to be intimidated,
Start
take it slow?
over from scratch. That's what I did. because
Completely start over
whenever
person.
I came back to DDO after taking a break, I was so scared to play my high-level permadeath characters that I just abandoned them completely, and I rolled something new so that I could learn things from the ground up again, and that was a great experience.
Yeah. For you, DDO is actually a really good example because you did
Yeah,
take that year off
I did. It
where
was
we
great.
really didn't record and do things.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know if you always have to start all over again. But having, again, permadeath characters in particular, I could understand how that would be or I don't know. I think that try to keep in mind
This is a
that
good time to come back, Festivault. Just saying.
if you're listening to the show, but you don't have to be the best right away. Like you can take your time, whether or not that's on a high level character or low level character. DDO is pretty forgiving on that kind of stuff. You can play by yourself. Quests you can do them by yourself on casual or whatever. Or if you got a guild or a group of
Hey, there
people
is
that you can
nothing
dig out.
wrong with a casual streak. In fact, I think that we should put in our request right now that the devs need to make some sort of weird reward bonus for a casual streak because I, I've done that. I've done the smooth jazz casual run through epics. It's actually pretty neat
Yeah,
to
I don't
see
even
that light blue color all over your stuff.
know what that would look like.
I don't know.
Um,
Maybe that should be part of the less a favor system, where you get rewards, but only if you've done everything on Epic Casual. Come on, help me out here.
Perhaps. Like I've done quests on like a quick flag, like say you didn't do the Vaughn series for whatever reason, and then you get to the epics and your people are doing a Vaughn run. Oh, I'm gonna go flag real fast, and you just like party through the quests on. Done that kind of
Is
stuff
Gaz
before,
Fry, yeah. And then
but
you go and join the party. Got it.
I haven't done it for XP. Don't be intimidated. Come back and play.
Yes.
If you want, you can join us on Fridays and get some experience because we are all terrible.
Yeah, we are. We die all the time.
Speaking of my
Captain
dying,
Evasion!
I can't pass a saving through to save my bum. Speaking of dying all the time,
Dungeons and A-holes are dying?
I'm having.
Oh.
The nails are fine. I'm not sure if we're having a session this week. If so, I probably won't be streaming it. I have a thing this Sunday, but they'll be here Sunday on Dustin's channel, and I will, assuming they play. If they are, I will tweet that out for sure. No, I want to, and being on tilt and doing it on camera. See, another comment I got on the stream lately was, "Wow, you handle dying really well." And I'm like, thanks. Because I'm doing things mostly by myself, right? And I'm used to being able to move through again, like I was saying earlier, some of this content is really, really challenging, where other things have been so much easier than I'm used to. Necro 4 chain. So the Fleshmaker, Inferno of the Damned, Temple of All, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have literally hundreds of runs on these quests. I know them in 3 of those 4, no deaths. Possibly could have been setting some records for running at level on Elite for time or whatever. Just like super smooth runs. Perdition, I get down to the boss again, super smooth, and I think I had 7 deaths down there, and I had to Ireland and recall back to the boat twice, or release back to the boat twice, because I couldn't get the hireling to heal me or raise me anymore with the beholder or whatever. And it was just incredibly difficult and super frustrating and really difficult to just not say, F it, flip the table, and go watch TV or something. So it makes me want to talk about tilt just a little bit.
All right.
It's something everybody has, everybody gets, and when something starts becoming frustrating, it's often better to go off and do something else. As streaming as my job, streaming to try to entertain, which more of you could be in the channel to stream, that would be awesome. It's tough because you can't just get up and do something else. You can't be like, you know what, forget it. I'm going to 10 minutes and go, wash some dishes or check on the ducks or play with the dogs or whatever, because you're trying to be entertaining. You're trying to entertain people who are there to watch the game that you're playing. So I think for me, it's bringing a whole new to playing the game that I'm not 100% comfortable with. Especially, like, I hit 2 of these quests back to back that just nothing was going right. Failed saving throws and then instant death. Or, hey, here's 24 points of con loss. Stand there and take a beating until you die. These are things that irritate me. And there's a weird pressure. And then I feel a huge amount of a pressure not to flip the table. Comments in the chat like, hey, you're doing a really awesome job of not getting frustrated and not just quitting and walking away and doing nothing. I feel
Sometimes you got to
feel like I'm pushing past that, but it's so hard.
Yeah.
And I'm not 100%. And it seems like they add up and they tilting, right? The more you do bad, the more you continue to do bad until you fall over. And I don't know. I want to talk about it in the sense that I want to tell people that it happens to everyone.
Yes.
Yes. City was another streamer was watching today, and it's like, man, I'm really glad that I'm not the only one this happens to. So you're not alone. If you feel like this days, everybody has these moments where things continue to pile up. And it happens in real life too. Just nobody seems to talk about tilt in real life. They talk about it when they're playing a game. You just keep going. You stop and do something else.
Yeah.
For me, I don't get that option. Or I do. I choose not to take it because, again, I
can't quit.
Would like to make this my job. I would like to get people in the stream watching, doing things, but it's so much different. And I'm not ever one of those people who just like, ha, I died, because I want to succeed and I want to show people what it's like to experience. But at the same time, failure really is an option, and sometimes it's tough to deal with.
Yeah, that's true. And it's hard to
show me the wisdom of the ages on this.
It's hard to eat that. It's hard to eat that dream, isn't it? When you're sitting there dead on the ground.
It can be. I can only imagine how this, for me, right? Like I have the death feels like. We've talked before how this relates to permadeath and how the highs are so much higher because the lows are so much lower.
Yes.
And I'm having this experience like today. I literally put my head down, put my hands in my head, and just sat there for like 30 seconds, just like I'm doing now.
You were in a puddle of failure. Look at you in a puddle of failure. That's so cute.
Exactly. And I was just like, but I got to get this quest done because people are watching. So how am I going to set my feelings aside and get this quest done? And about this same time, you start sending me a text messages about doing this, and I'm just like,
Oh no. And you're just like, oh,
oh,
I can't deal with this right now.
exactly. And I'm like, man, I just. That's where we started the show.
That's the mindset that you brought into it.
Exactly. Thank goodness we
What you're
argued
doing
about
is,
Supergirl for like half an
yeah, I
hour.
know, right? That was a good palate cleanser for you. I think you're doing it right. I think that you just need to keep pushing forward. Because where else are you going to go? Back? I don't think so. Sam Scrobo doesn't go back.
That's
So
true.
that's it.
I've never gone back. Not one time. Never gone back anywhere.
All right. So I'm going to send you a package for Christmas. I know last year I think I got you a hat with a beard on it or something like that. Or maybe it was a Viking hat.
And my wife has actually stolen it, and it's in the car now.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
She doesn't wear the beard. But she likes the way the Viking hat. So she wears it in the car when we get cold when she's poke hunting.
Awesome.
But I think it's okay because, Les, I don't know if you've seen it.
I
also have this Viking
That's great.
hat. Anyway, continue your story. You want to send me a present? I do. Presents.
I do. No, I can't tell you what it is.
The time of year. It's Christmas time.
It is that time of year. It is that time of year. But you don't need to get me anything because you only made $200 this year. So
That's true. That's true. No, I do have plans to send out Christmas gifts, assuming I can make things happen. And I also will be using those Christmas gifts, hopefully on this. I don't want to go too deep into it. Mm-hmm. Forget it. Screw it. I'm telling everybody. I'm hoping to make T-shirts. I've been trying to make T-shirts for a while now.
Oh, nice.
Wanting to do them with the screen printing, but I cannot for the life of me get my time when they have reason for me to do work at my local GameStop. We also have a T-shirt as needed T-shirt job or whatever you want to call it. We make T-shirts on the side for people when they need them. And you get a special emulsion to put on the screen, and they just will not order more. A screen press, which is what I've been trying to do. So we'll have to see if we can want to make T-shirts stream. And my hope is to have them ready for Christmas so I can send them to people like and Clanky and put them up on for sale for a very inexpensive price. And they'll be handmade T-shirts by Samus. So they'll have a lot of love. But
by Samus for Samus. All right. You're still not. Look at you. Look at this sad face.
Always be selling.
It's your
always
little.
Be selling. Always be.
All right. Let's close the show so that I can because I have to go and make Christmas ornaments with my sister. Like I promised, she's actually waiting on me. It's a little awkward. So,
I heard her come in.
Yeah. So anyway, if you want to be part of the show and follow us on social media, I'm at Lessa at twitter.com. Samus Grobo is at Samus Grobo, all one word, at twitter.com. Or you can email us. I'm Lessa at DDOCocktailHour.com. Samus is Samus at DDOCocktailHour.com. Or you can watch us on our Twitch streams. Samus Grobo twitches every day, all the time. So much twitching. It's not even funny. And that's Samus Garobo. It's twitch.tv/Samus Garobo. And my Twitch is twitch.tv/Lessa101. I am a member of the DDO live stream team. The Damsels of DDO streams. Now we moved. We are streaming every other Saturday, 1 a.m. Central, which would be like Friday night. So
technically, I'm part of the stream
because of my school schedule. Because one of us also had a schedule change, so that was 2 out of 3, and we have to move the show. So
technically,
this will
I
work out
stream
better.
on Wednesdays on the DDO stream. technically Wednesdays morning. I'm Jerry's warm-up show.
Oh, nice. He's the warm-up, the Jerry warm-up
I'm the warm-up
show. Okay.
Yes, I warm up the DDO stream for Jerry.
All right. Until then, I think we're about done. Cheers. Raise your glass. My coffee cup.
That's right. That's how we sign off. Not head drinking our.
Yes.
I got so much tea left.
Cheers. That's perfect. You need to drink all of that. Cheers, mother truckers! There he goes. And scene. Wow, that was a lot of tea. He's actually doing it. You did it.
All right.